One of the classics on the motorcycle calendar, of course, the Bol d'Or at the Paul Ricard circuit at Le Castellet in the south of France. And number 2 Yamaha will start 7th with Jean-Marc Delatang first aboard. Practice hadn't been quite as good as they had planned, but team manager Christian Saron, the doyen of French endurance racing, really doesn't worry too much about that. No strategy, says Christian. The riders know that the early race lap times or practice times don't mean that much. Also confident, the Kawasaki team. The number 10 machine is on pole, ridden by World Championship leaders Bertrand Sibelier and Igor German, and Ian McPherson for the British Superbike Championship, also aboard that ride. Second is the Suzuki of Peter Goddard, Too Tall Terry Reimer and Brian Morrison, also over from the British Superbike Series for a crack at the bowl. Third place is the number 3 Honda. Christian Leville, Doug Poland and ex-Grand Prix racer William Costes aboard that one. And a bike entry.
So the bikes you're going to have to look out for here at the Paul Ricard circuit at the Bol d'Or, the number 10 machine, the Kawasaki France bike of Bertrand Sibelier, Igor German and Ian McPherson. There's a Brit in the French team. The number 1 machine has qualified in 2nd place. That's the Suzuki Castrol team, the first team, Kawasaki France. They've qualified on pole. The number 1 bike of Goddard, Reimer and Morrison qualified in 2nd place. Then the number 3 machine, the Honda France Elf of Lavier, Doug Poland and William Costes. The Honda RC 45 in 3rd place. Kawasaki France in 4th. Dorje, Slavia and Isuzu. Let's get that right. It's a brand new name for me, and I haven't met the guy yet. I'm going out to see him soon. Japanese man has taken over a slot on the number 11 bike. The 2nd Castrol Suzuki team, Bruno Bonoy, Eric Mahe and Arnold van der Bosch are in 5th place. Those are the ones you've got to look out for, and also look out for the number 50 machine, Phase 1 Endurance, Brett Sampson, Warwick Noland and Tony Rees on the Suzuki. They are down in 15th place on the grid. You've got to run over, get it started, because they've got starters and alternators and lights on the number 10 machine. But this is the Bol d'Or. The crowd are waiting for this. There's 24 hours to go once they get the bikes going. Held up by the team mechanics there. In front, the number 10 Kawasaki France machine. The number 1 Suzuki. He is the first rider away. Tense moments here at the start. The riders, all they want to do is get on the bike and get out there. And this is it, don't go away. The start of the Bol d'Or in just a few seconds. In front, the 30-second board is there. I was a little bit premature on that. I saw the man waving the boards. Get everybody out of the way. The one thing you don't want is problems at the start. Pulling at the knee sliders, bent knees. That's it, and they're off. The French flag waves. Who's getting away first? And the number 10 machine has been able to do it. Sibelier, German and McPherson. Now, who's on the bike? That is what we're trying to find out. The number 10 machine out in the lead, first of all, before anybody else. Behind him, the RC45, the big works Honda of Honda Elf. But Kawasaki, like they did at Le Mans, straight out in front and wanting to put in some fast laps very early on here. Remember, the tyres are cold. Those bikes have been standing for quite a while, so no funny business.
The 60-second bowl starts with the scramble across the grid, and away they go. Well, let's have a look back at last year's race and see if that can give us any clues for the start of this year's event. Heavy winds, the Mistral. The number 10 machine out in the lead.
leads, and I think it's Ian McPherson on the bike. You can tell them apart here. They have blue, white and red armbands. There is often a reserve rider with a green armband, but I haven't seen many of those. Start, finish straight. Kawasaki's already gone through, the number 3 Honda, followed by the number 2 Yamaha. Now remember, I was looking for this Yamaha mention, which I should have done earlier on. It's Jean-Marc Delatang, Jean-Philippe Rougier, and 3 Jeans here. 500cc rider Jean-Michel Bayle. Those are the standings at the moment. It would be wonderful to know that Bayle is firing this machine out first of all. William Costes on the RT45, the Honda Elf machine. Well, the pace at the start is as frenetic as always, and the number 10 Pole Kawasaki takes the early lead, with 5 other factory bikes chasing them hard. Number 3 Honda, the number 4 and 1 Suzuki's, the 11 Kawasaki and the number 2 Yamaha in 6th place. Still have to close down. There's somebody down already now. I did say earlier on. Sorry, the number 4 Castrol Suzuki now has taken over 3rd spot. Eric Mahe finally been able to get a good look at the Yamaha Motor France bike. Now in 4th place is Jean-Marc Delatang, who's taken the Yamaha out first of all in his first stint. You're looking at about 40 to 45 minutes before the first of the pit stops here. Some of the teams go out there with stock bikes and have to come in fairly early because of the tank range and the fuel they put in there. But if you're going to have a crash, you want to get it back out onto the track as soon as possible. Everything is quick, snap, fit. You can take these things apart in virtually 7 minutes and put them all back together again in about the same time. Jean-Marc Delatang just in front of the number 10 Kawasaki. Sorry, the number 11 Kawasaki. Very easy to get them mixed up here. Gregorio Lavia pushing hard, and Brian Morrison fairly well down the order now on the number 1 Suzuki in 6th place. Very early days yet. He'll be getting the feel of the bike, getting the tires of endurance racing. We see a little bit of a touch on the outside here. Ryan gets pushed a little bit to the outside. Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki. Coming off the back straight, as I said, the wind is pushing you down the Mistral. It's 1.8 kilometers long down the Mistral. Can overestimate the amount of road you've got left to turn in because the wind is pushing you, but coming up the back of the circuit, William Costes, Gregorio Lavia, and Brian Morrison just cruising past Gregorio Lavia now. Got his head down a little bit, knows where Lavia's good and where he's bad, knows where to take him safely. 24 hours of racing here. You don't want to do anything silly, stupid. Form of racing. In endurance, you ride the circuit, you try to keep your lap times as consistently fast as possible, not to do a couple of quick ones and a couple of slow ones. Consistent riding is the key here, never overstressing the machine. Making sure that you're riding very close to your limits but well within them. You're looking at the number 7 machine, Honda RC45 of Jean-Pierre Jourdain, Mauro Luciari and Per Riba of L'Herbert, Leblanc and Bouffard. Joined the track again. Ian McPherson, as you see, way out in front, but 4 seconds roundabout there. Costes behind him. The other one is nice and steady, but if the phase 1 team were up into 15th place, I'd see it, but they're not. And of course we have an all-girl team here again, the LMS 72 team. It's a 600 super sport machine of Aurélie Bourgard, Marie-Pierre Vintrayer and Patricia Baudard. And they've been doing all the endurance series this year. And Kawasaki. Ian McPherson pushing that Kawasaki hard from the start here. So far we're getting down to the 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Qualifying time is around about 1 minute 59. Riding that, somebody's blown up already, number 71. Wim Motors, Suzuki is out. Mark Fissette. And somebody down, number 15. It's a Honda White Endurance team. Now this is a surprise. That's Andreas Hoffman. But the gap's unchanged for the past 10 minutes or so, 4 and 5 seconds. Coming up right here. Down the school corner, virage de l'école, into the virage de la Sainte-Baume. Nearly 6 seconds now, Ian McPherson doing the business on the Kawasaki. Eric Mahe in second place. And just behind Eric Mahe, Gregorio Lavilla on the second Kawasaki. And then it's the second Suzuki, the number 1 machine with Brian Morrison. Brian now just about 6 seconds down on Ian McPherson. But Brian, a canny rider, knows that there's a long way to go in this race. Looking at the battle between the number 4 Suzuki, Eric Mahe, and the number 11 Kawasaki of Gregorio Lavilla. Suzuki's and Honda. The number 2 Yamaha, 17 seconds down on Ian McPherson. Three different classes all circulating together. The superbikes, as you notice, are in amongst the back markers, and there will probably be the stock sport bikes. Stock sports have a minimum weight of 185 kilograms. You're talking 750cc 4 cylinders, 900 3 cylinders. I don't think there's a Triumph here at all. Or up to 1,100cc twins in stock sport. Super sports, a minimum weight of 172 means you'll be running a 600cc 4, or at a minimum weight of 750 4s, 900 triples, or 1,000cc twins. The selection for this race is done by a committee, would you believe, after being invited. 5 failed to make the grade, which in retrospect can be quite a bit of a relief for me, because it would have been very difficult to pronounce some of their names. So far, a straight battle between the 2 Kawasaki's and the 2 Suzuki's. The Elf Honda in 5th place and the Yamaha in 6th, now nearly 19 seconds down. I remember a little bit earlier saying that I couldn't see phase 1 on the screen. They are in 14th place, just under a minute down on Ian McPherson, running in 14th, where they would expect to be this early on in the race. Beautifully prepared Suzuki GSXR 750. I had to tour the bike a little bit earlier on, and so many special pieces on there. Somebody has to do a write-up of the bike, because the trick bits on endurance machines, 24 hours. Being held up by a back marker. Who's getting swamped by the works machines? Brian Morrison taken the #1 Suzuki into second, who's used to this kind of racing. McPherson out in the lead, Brian Morrison in second place, La Villa in third, Costes in fourth, Mahe in fifth, and Delatang in sixth, and you can see how far the Yamaha is behind.
So the works bikes with their top line riders all pushing on, and the privateers.
Kawasaki number 11 and Costes. This was a refueling time for the Honda. And a rider change, of course, for the Kawasaki. I do apologise. Suzuki came in as well. Bertrand Cibolo taking a place of Igor German on the Kawasaki. And Arnold van der Bosch taking over from Mahe on the Suzuki. Kawasaki leaving the pits. Manages to get out in front of the number 3 Honda. And one of the big crashes we saw in the corner, this is what happened, the number 33 machine. Fabrice Potier going down, 13 following.
4 o'clock mark, disaster. Poitiers Suzuki dropped, and Koch.
And Maurice Koch on the...
Riding the number 13 machine hits him. Both riders are seriously injured, head and neck injuries for both.
The number 13 and Fabrice on the Suzuki number 33, both had some damage. Maurice Koch has got some concussion. He's in the Toulon hospital, and a bit of a spinal injury as well for Fabrice Potier, who's gone to Marseille. And of course, and had to do the restart as well. Arnold van der Bosch still on the bike, but with the Suzuki number 4 taking the lead. Sorry, Arnold van der Bosch on the Suzuki. Let's get it right this time. But they were seriously pushing the Kawasaki. And when they brought it into the pits, it was Igor German on board at the time who said there was something seriously wrong with the engine. They wheeled it backwards into the pits, took off the tank and the airbox, and had a real deep look inside the engine. Lots of panic, well, not really panic, lots of purposeful, very
broken throttle, and they are forced out of the race. And with that, 6 p.m, the number 2 Yamaha holding 5th place. Quick pit stop, Jean-Marc Delatang says doing it. 6:35, Jean-Michel Bayle is down. A plastic bin liner caught under his front wheel at 180 kilometers an hour at Senior, and he was down in a very big accident.
In the bike, but then one of the engineers turned around and said, tinkle, tinkle, there's something wrong with the engine. And look at this. This is, or was, a Mobile 1 Yamaha. Delatang, Rougier and Bayle